Hello everybody, this is Chaff Commander Coffee back with another episode of Dominions4. This episode is going to be slightly different. I decided I would do a summary of the first year. I may do summaries of every year, but the first year is quite important, being that it is early expansion, and especially for us, since it ended at the start of the second year with the god of Mexico being vanquished. So I'm going to do a quick summary of how everything went. I'm not going to do any planning or anything for next time. So far, we have managed to expand. I may count my provinces here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. 20 provinces in the first year. We're going to have a castle set up next turn. Possibly a lab there as well, or a temple, whichever one I prefer. But we're going to have 3 castles moving into the second year, which is a very good number. Having been able to take out the Atlanteans so quickly with that Dom kill. For sure. We're in a good spot, a very good spot. The only problem is, my scout did reveal that this nation down here, the Lunawatians, or Lunawatians, not sure, or Wartians maybe. I mean, they do seem to be they could, being that their army consists of mermen, hybrid light infantries, and illithids. They could be an underwater nation that started in one of these provinces. And given the throne being here with the Amber Clan, they decided to expand onto the land because they were blocked off. Further scouting into the south of this side of the of Valanis will reveal whether that they have expanded onto the mountains here or into this forest at all. Something to keep in mind. This may be an underwater nation, which means we should be able to conquer the land from them fairly easily, but expanding into the water will be difficult until I get some proper powerful water mages going. And my god is unable to enter the water as well, so unless I can make him a ring of water breathing, which would require me to recruit my old wizards. Again, I want to save on recruiting the old wizards until I can solve their aging issues. I think our plan for the following years, we are going to continue to ignore the east. It doesn't look like anyone's expanding particularly well in the east over here. And with our fortress there, it should deter any invasions. And my dominions should be very strong all year round in Crotas, so they shouldn't be able to cross over the mountain. So we should be safe on the eastern front. I believe the plan for the next year will be acquiring these 2 thrones and then preparing for a war against Syria, who have an awake god. They have Archophilos the Cyclops. Cyclopses are pretty tough. I'm not even sure if my dragon could beat a Cyclops in a single fight. I'm not sure. Especially since my dragon has been weakened. In a fight versus a Cyclops, that weakened will make a difference. Because it will be 2 super combatants fighting, and you want yours to have the highest stats possible. Against human opponents, that strength minus is very, very negligible. He'll nearly always kill something in 1 hit anyway. But against the Cyclops, yeah, every point of strength counts for damage. It's also important to note that Syria, although their expansion has gone terribly, they do have another castle in Belmar. Now I'm wondering, given that their castle is right next to the capital, if they got this via an event. It is only a palisades though. It's quite possible you get the event where a local lord is worried about, or he prepares, no, he's not worried, he prepares for future wars, and you get a commander and some decent soldiers, as well as a palisades. They may have got that event. There is a palisade here, which is something to keep in mind. 2 castles does make it so that I can't just have one army and just sit on top of their capital and hope I win that way, because they will still be able to recruit units. So I will need 2 armies to fight Syria, so I'm going to have to start building one up in Saltnoham with my new mounted commander. It might be the first time I start putting wizards on the battlefield as well, since they do have a lot of undead, and my level 2 mages are priests. And if I was to quickly do some research into blood magic, and then get Sabbath Master, Sabbath Slave, I could create some Sabbaths to increase the priest level of these Sun Pontifexes, and then they would be able to cast the holy spell here, Banishment, which for every holy level of the priest, it will increase the range, the area of effect, and the damage of the banishment. So by Sabbathing these, and also to keep in mind, banishment costs no fatigue. So the Sabbath slaves can cast spells whilst the Sabbath masters are casting banishment, and the slaves will not gain fatigue from the masters casting banishment. So I can have all of these level 1 blood mages, I can have them casting Bloodburst or something, and it does not affect undead beings, so they will only target the human opponents in the Syrian army. It is quite high on the fatigue, but I could have all of my Sabbath slaves start the battle by casting Sabbath Slave. I could have them hold for 1 turn to reduce their fatigue, because it will fatigue them by doing this. And then I can have them cast Bloodburst afterwards. If I have one of the Sabbath Masters cast Reinvigoration on his 4th turn, then I can have the slaves cast Bloodburst again, and then I can finish with another Reinvigoration on the final turn. It would be a very blood slave intensive strategy, but if I'm attacking their capital and there's a Cyclops there, I may need the extra firepower just to bring it down, as well as the fact that their army is quite large. But again, mostly made of undead by the looks of it, so strong priests will be able to clear the undead very quickly. Where I may want to place my next few castles, possibly not fortresses, but just placing some palisades around, maybe just for movement purposes, or more for the fact, since we have forest survival, it's not so necessary for the movement purposes, but for placing labs and temples and just keeping them protected from raids and such. Duvan looks like a good province, and it does have access to heavy cavalry, so I may place a palisades here just so that it draws resources from all the nearby zones and can build heavy cavalry for me. It will also make for a decent preparation point for the invasion into Syria, since if we own Bakar and our Frost Dominion has not spread over Belmar, then they will not be able to attack from Belmar, and Syria will be the only point that they can invade us from. So if we go in from Duvan, and we have a second army ready to block them in the wasteland, it might be worth having 3 armies, one in Duvan, one in Ophaleth, and one in Lilladhor once we take this throne. The army which takes this throne may indeed just stay here ready for the invasion. Aside from that, I thought I would go over the Hall of Fame. It's nice to see who the strongest hero is after the first year of the Ascension War. We have a general with 101 experience points. Louis of Lycia. Very powerful. Well, he's a very strong commander. He has 101 experience, so a very strong commander. But hasn't actually killed anyone. So not a prophet. A prophet would have at least killed something with smites. We have Dante of Farwald with 60 experience. Again, probably just a commander and not the prophet, has no kills. But Uranocles of Napskibos has 3 kills and 49 experience. This is more likely to be a prophet, however 3 kills is quite low. It is possible that they are perhaps a cavalry commander, a heavy, maybe a knight commander who managed to get 3 kills with lancing or some such. Maybe just killing archers once the enemy army had routed. Sir Gwifrey was actually a mercenary commander. He did manage to make it onto the Hall of Fame, however he has died, which is unfortunate. So there will be his mercenary regiment of swordsmen will not be available. The 2 most interesting heroes come next. It's Igalima, the prophet of Pandora. Oh, interesting. It does tell you whether it's their prophet or not. Oh, so Uranocles has 3 kills and he is not the prophet. So those are 3 kills either in melee or with a ranged weapon. That's quite impressive, given that commanders, you don't really want to use them in combat since they can die very quickly. With one bad roll, you can get their head chopped off. So you don't want your commander getting his head chopped off and then your units will run away. But Igalima is indeed the prophet of Pandaureos, and Labaya is the prophet of Shalim. And both of those have quite a few kills, which is no surprise. They would have been smiting many unbelievers, and smiting things is quite effective in the early stages of the game. We have Hannibal of Lycia. I believe Hannibal might actually be the mercenary commander for the War Elephant Corps. I'll see if they're currently available. Yeah, the Elephant Corps is available. Hannibal commands 4 men. This is actually a good way to see if, yeah, Dante is a mercenary as well. He's on the Gunter Bluckraft. And the Lions. Louis, so the Lions. Louis commands 50 men, and he is the most famous hero in the entirety of Valinus. He's a famous mercenary commander. It might be worth recruiting his men. If he has 101 experience, it means he's been in a lot of combat, and his mercenary regiment is going to be quite big, and that's a good thing. We could do with 50 extra men, and if they're swordsmen or some such, they would make a very strong front line. They'd make up for the fact that my goblins aren't a strong front line. They could perhaps filter in behind them, so the mercenaries get more kills. Where we are on the Hall of Fame, Saltnaham currently has 3 heroes in the Hall of Fame. We have Liftrays, our prophet. He has heroic strength, giving him a total strength bonus from his heroic ability of 4, which makes his strength 13. However, because he is a prophet, he gains extra stats based on how strong our Dominion is. So he's gaining an extra 3 from our Dominion right now. I believe if he was in a province with... so right now he's in a province with 3 Dominion. I believe if he was in a province with 10 Dominion, he would get a +10 to his strength, which would make him stronger than a giant, which is something to consider. Also, his strength bonus, I believe this will increase by 2 for each experience level that he gains. So on his first level, when he gained his heroic ability, he gained 2 extra strength, and that increased by 2 when he gained his first level of experience. So Liftrays may end up being a very dangerous goblin. Very dangerous. We may have to make him more dangerous by giving him some magic gear. Anyway, back to the Hall of Fame. Our second hero in the Hall of Fame, who has as much experience as Liftrays, even though he has no kills, is Hergny, the Swordmaster. He has lightning reflexes, which means he is gaining a +4 to his defense skill. Defense skill is useful. If you can stack defense skill up high enough, this goblin could hold off maybe 3 squares of infantry, like 9 men, if he had high enough defense skill. Something to consider. Although, again, it's not efficient at all just to arm characters based on the fact they have a heroic ability, but it's single player. We seem to be doing quite well. It'd be interesting. And then we have our third hero, Narek, who is in fact just a random human commander that I picked up. He also has lightning reflexes, so I believe on average Narek should do better than Hergny in terms of combat ability, but although the Goblin commanders are quite skilled, at least they're more skilled than human commanders. Either way, those are our three heroes currently in the Hall of Fame. I could go through the others, but I mean one of them's a mercenary, so. And we have these two are prophets. These two are just probably commanders, and one of them's dead in fact. So yes, two people currently dead in the Hall of Heroes. One of them being a mercenary. Mercenaries is something I would like to look at in case, just to summarise all the mercenaries currently available. Swimming Men are a underwater only mercenary company. I believe they're Triton Warriors. The Elephant Corps will be available for hire. Some more War Elephants. They're cheap War Elephants as well. Or at least cheaper than recruiting them myself. And War Elephants are liable to die since they do go in first. Dante Stingers seem to have taken some casualties. And Gunther Wilcraft, 30 men. So he appears to have a full squad. I think these are probably the Sonnenkinder. I think they're swordsmen. The great swords with heavy armor, or are they just normal swordsmen? Dante Stingers are crossbowmen, and I believe the Lions. I mean, their commander looks very average, so maybe they are swordsmen. They might be swordsmen or spearmen or some such. I may look into hiring Louis. I may look into that. Louis the Lion of the Lion Company. They could come in handy. Alright, I don't think there's anything else I want to... There is. So, my other idea for expansion was, I mean, I have independence I need to clean up, which I will be doing, but that's more of a given as opposed to a plan, is to start expanding into the underground. Now, a small army would be able to take out these troglodytes if they had enough archers, so I may get my mounted commander to do that, and it's also quite close to Lilithbor. But I would like to at least get vision of this Throne of Ascension so I know what is guarding it, and I can decide how difficult it will be to take. There are a few kinds of creatures that spawn in the Underdark which are deceptively powerful. Probably the most annoying of all of them is the Bakemono. Now the Bakemono are small little goblin-like creatures like my goblins, which makes them not very dangerous. However, Bakemono will sometimes spawn with a Bakemono Shaman, and I've seen them spawn with Death Gems. They also have Death 2, and they start raising a lot of skeletons, and suddenly those 30 Bakemono you thought that you were fighting are now 50 Bakemono, or 50 skeletons and the 30 Bakemono. And it's, yeah, it scales quite horribly out of control. Other than that, you can get the Ko-Oni down in the underground as well, and the Ko-Oni, they are ethereal. When you kill them, they turn into an ethereal spirit, and that makes them very hard to hit with non-magic weapons, which can be the death of early expansion parties. The underground is very dangerous. You should not go here unless you're prepared. But if you can take the underground, I mean, it's very, very safe. And there's two Thrones of Ascension down here. There's one throne here, which is right at the end of the map, so if you conquer this throne, it's almost guaranteed it will never get taken. And this throne, which is very central, so probably a good point to build a castle. And then you could build more castles at the either entrance of the underground, or at the top of the underground. But I am definitely setting my sights on this underground region. It may be difficult to defend. It would be certainly beneficial putting a castle here if Lunawatia is indeed a underwater nation, because they can easily take this cave sea province and invade into this cave. So a castle here may be a good idea regardless. But taking the caves is certainly on my priorities after dealing with Syria, because that would allow me to expand into the east whilst maintaining a stronghold in Golem range. So depends. I could have two armies invade, and this is a wasteland, so it's not good to move a large army through here unless you have supporting magic items to boost your supplies, which we will be able to do. Once we get the lab here, I can start recruiting these Lion Tribe Witch Doctors to start searching for nature sites, and they may random with death. If they random with fire or earth, it's not bad either. I may find a use for it. I mean, if one of them randoms with earth, I can boost his nature magic with items, and then he can cast Gaia power in combat, and then he can start casting big nature buffs for the entire army. It's funny that a level 1 mage can be turned into a level 4 or 5 mage if you build them correctly. And then they have a very wide effect in combat, a very strong effect. Anyway, I think that'll be the end of the summary for the first year. Overall, I'm very pleased. We've done very well. 20 provinces is a great number, including taking out one of the pretenders already. 1 down, 10 to go. And unfortunately no Thrones of Ascension under our control, but they are on our borders, or inside of our borders in fact. This is almost completely secure. Actually it is, I thought it had a connection here, but it doesn't. So the Throne of Troia is completely secure within our realm. So we can capture this whenever we want. Whenever we want, we can capture it. Well, whenever we want to build an army strong enough to deal with this, we can capture it. I may do something a bit gimmicky to capture this throne without using an army. I may do a Hellpower Bomb, which involves this spell in Blood Magic, Hellpower. I may do a Hellpower Bomb, because it is rather funny to watch. But I believe the Vinemen, Earth Gnomes, and that such, they might have too many magical attacks to make the horrors that spawn from it to be effective, but we'll see, we'll see. My level 1 Blood Mages are so very cheap that if I was to recruit a large mass of them, I could do a Hellpower Bomb, and it should clear out the throne of anything dangerous. So, look forward to that. And if you don't know what one is, well, you'll just have to wait and see. I will probably end up doing at least one Hellpower Bomb during this campaign, just because I find them really funny. Also because my mages are cheap, so it's kind of encouraging me to do it. It's a good way to get rid of armies. However, I do want to focus on making the army, the battles quite large. So I won't be destroying all of the AI via battlefield or strategic magic. I want to try and have my hordes of goblins wash over their lines, and you can see some real huge 1,000-man combats. That's what I want by the end of this game. It'll be good. So yeah, I will end the video there. That's the end of this summary. This was the first year summary for my Dominions4 Thrones of Ascension RandomNationGen Let's Play. There are 10 teams left. Let's see if we can't make that 8 or 9. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.